we're also going to text it to you. But I want to do a little market update with you guys and show you what's going on in the marketplace. And this will be a pretty quick presentation. But it's important to be a student of the market because the market is always changing. And I'm going to show you what's going on in the market right now. The Texas REIAs does market updates every single month, right? So we can always provide you with the latest data on where the opportunities are to invest in Texas. So let's talk about like the Texas Roundup. What's going on in Texas? This is the Texas Roundup. The average price house in the great state of Texas is $407,000, up 0.7% over 1 year ago. So the market is flat, up this much. Median price house, $321,000, down 1.5%. It's flat. But if you want just one number, like if you want to say, show me one number that's like the barometer, like the health of the market, what would that number be? That would be this number right here in the middle. Okay, months of inventory, months of inventory. What is months of inventory? Here's how this is calculated. If you took all the houses for sale and you said, we're not going to add any more houses, we're going to just sell the houses that are for sale, and we're going to keep selling until they're all sold, and we're not going to add any more. How long would it last? How long before the shelves are empty? And the answer, 4.7 months. And that's the average amount of time it takes to sell one house. Now that's the average. Some houses sell much faster, some houses take much longer, right? So that's why they call it the average. Let me put this now into perspective for you. They say if there's less than 6 months of inventory, you're in a seller's market. If there's more than 6 months of inventory, you're in a buyer's market. What kind of a market are we in? You're in a seller's market, folks. Yeah, this is called a seller's market. Now, it's not a hot seller's market, but it is a seller's market by any definition. Now, a year ago, it was a hotter market. It's 4.4 months of inventory, but now it's 4.7 months of inventory. You're still in a seller's market. Why is that? Well, let's talk about real estate. Real estate doesn't care about anything other than supply and demand. It's purest market as there is. What's the biggest thing that happened over the last 3 or 4 years? Interest rates. What happened to interest rates? They went up. Okay, question for the audience. When interest rates go up, what happens to home prices? Let's do a poll. See your opinion. Who thinks when interest rates go up, home prices go down? Who thinks when interest rates go up, home prices go up? Okay, you're both right. It does this. What does that mean? Let's talk about it. Supply and demand. For sure, when interest rates go up, mortgage payments go up. Houses become less affordable. When they're less affordable, less people can afford them, so demand goes down. When demand goes down, prices get pushed down. But there's an offset. What's the offset? There's a couple of offsets. Here's a big offset. Normally, 2/3 of houses that are sold are resale and 1/3 are new construction. Right now it's inverted. Why is it inverted? How come people are not selling their homes? Because they got a 3% interest rate and they don't want to give it up. Yeah. People should be selling their homes right now. They should be saying, honey, let's get a bigger, nicer house. People have jobs, the economy's not bad. People should be moving up, but they're not moving up. They're staying put because they don't want to give up their 3% mortgage. And because all of that supply is being held off the market, what does that do to prices? Pushes prices up. There's another thing going on. Last year, California lost 500,000 people. Last year, Texas gained 500,000 people. Where do you think they went? And there's another 12 million people, we don't know where they went, but a bunch of them are here too, and they all need a place to live. So there's huge demand. okay? And we're not building enough houses. In fact, you may or may not know this, in the national basis, we're in the middle of a housing shortage. Who's heard this? We have a housing shortage. Not enough houses. When you don't have enough houses, what does that do to home prices? Pushes them up, right? So demand has gone down, but supply has gone down. And when demand goes down and supply goes down, what happens to the market? Flat. That's why we didn't get into a correction, because of the supply constraint. History. 2021, prices went up 18% in 1 year. 2022, they went up 10% in 1 year. 2023, flat. 2024, almost flat, went up a little at the end of the year. Why? Interest rates went down a little at the end of the year. 2025, flat, up 0.5%. The market is flat. And that's where we are. I'll give you a little more data. Dallas, let's talk about the big D. Dallas, the average price house in Dallas, $485,000. It's the second most expensive market in Texas after Austin. $485,000. Median price, $385,000, down 1%. Look at the inventory, guys. Dallas is the hottest market in Texas, by far. This is actually a pretty hot seller's market in Dallas. Yeah, 3.5 months of inventory. That's called a hot market. It's crazy. And I'll tell you something about Dallas. I don't know why this is. Maybe somebody can tell me. Dallas has always been the bellwether of Texas. If you ever want to know what's going to happen, you look at Dallas first. It's the first mover, first to go down, first to go up. I don't know why, but it's always been the first mover for some reason, some mix of the economy or whatever it is. And Dallas is booming. Lease listings up, lease prices flat, down 2%. Yeah, multifamily. Multifamily got hit with interest rates, but the reason the market didn't collapse is because we have all these people moving here. So the apartments are actually full, and we built a lot, and they're still full. Okay, let's talk about some of the drivers to the market. What's driving the market? Consumer confidence. People are relatively confident. Consumer confidence is measured on a 0 to 200 scale. Anything over 100, people are confident. Anything under 100, people are scared. Right now, we're at 96. I'm sorry, 84. Well, the point is we're kind of right in the middle. Not confident, not scared. Unemployment's pretty good in Texas. Job growth is okay. Stock market doesn't affect real estate other than when people have money in their stock market, they feel wealthier, right? So they're a little more likely to buy real estate. Business growth is doing great in Texas. Affordability, interest rates, there's a red one that's pushing prices down. They went up, right? And so it's less affordable. House prices are flat. Active listings flat. Months of inventory kind of right in the middle. Technically in a seller's market, but not a strong seller's market. Housing permits, we're not building enough houses. We have a housing shortage. That's pushing prices up. Construction, we got a construction problem. Laborers are dying, right? The average general contractor is 58 years old. The age keeps going up. So here's some advice. If you have a kid in high school, don't send them to college. Buy them a hammer. Yeah. I know plumbers making $1 million a year. Plumbers are making $1 million a year. You can go get a bunch of student debt, get some crappy job working for a jerk for $65,000 a year, or you can be a plumber and make $1 million a year. So yeah, plumbers are doing well. Contractors are doing well. Closed sales trajectory flat. Pending sales trajectory flat. Migration, this should be the biggest bullet on the page. That's big. This is the ratio of people moving in versus moving out. People are moving to Texas. They all need a place to live, either a house or an apartment, right? We don't have enough of either one, and that's pushing prices up. All right, what's the forecast? If you were looking for something exciting called a market bottom, that was probably it. There wasn't much there. Interest rates should decrease a little bit for the end of the year. Trump's got his guy coming in. He says, I'm going to lower interest rates. How much exactly and when, we don't know, but it'll help a little bit, but not a lot. We expect that sales were up last year about 1%. This year, they're going to be up 2 or 3%. Prices were kind of flat to up a little this year. Prices will be up 1 or 2%. Not bad. Now, I'm going to say this. Sometimes it's easy to buy and hard to sell. Sometimes it's easy to sell and hard to buy. It's never easy to buy and easy to sell. What I love about this market, we're right in the middle. It's not that hard to buy and it's not that hard to sell. When I tell you about these 12 strategies, which of the 12 strategies work right now? The answer is yes. They all work. So it is a great time to be an investor. We can make money in up markets, we can make money in down markets. We got strategies for both, but in the middle, it's actually the best for us. So did you guys all learn a lot today? Everybody learn a lot? Awesome. Any questions before we wrap things up? Wow, I covered everything, didn't I? Yeah, who's coming to the workshop, by the way? Who's coming to the workshop? We're going to look to see you. Who's coming? Okay. Everybody coming to Dallas? Anybody coming to one of the other cities? Just out of curiosity. Other cities? One of the other cities? You're coming to Austin? Oh, great. See you in Austin. Okay. Question?
So if we are not available this coming February 26 to 27, 28, can you come back in April in Dallas again?
Yeah, you're welcome to. We rotate the workshop through the major cities. We have chapters of the Texas REIAs in all the major cities. So if for some reason you have a conflict, we'll get you on the next one. So absolutely, we want you to come. So yeah, question.
Are these pages available?
Yeah. Go to our Texas REIAs Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. The whole presentation, videos on there. Yeah. Any other questions? And by the way, this is a very high-speed overview. We're going to cover this in a lot more detail at the workshop. So this is fun, but the details at the workshop. Yeah.
One question. You don't have to answer right now. You're going to cover about the due on sale costs?
So ask me that at the workshop. I'll give you the quick and dirty answer. It's not a problem. But you deserve a more detailed question. It never happens. It's not a problem. But ask in front of everybody at the workshop. It's going to be about a 20-minute conversation. It gets into a lot of details, so I put everybody to sleep. But in the context of teaching it for about 2 hours, it'll make sense. So ask that at the workshop, and I'll explain why it's not a problem. But I want to get into it, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Fair enough? Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. In the back, yeah.
I had a question about wholesaling. What stops the buyer from avoiding the wholesale and just go straight to the, property?
Go. You mean what keeps the buyer or the seller? I don't understand.
So you mentioned that the wholesaler goes out to get those contracts. What stops a buyer from just getting that contract?
You mean going around the wholesaler? So there's a couple of things. One, when a seller signs a contract, they're locked in. They cannot terminate. A buyer can terminate, a seller can't. So once a seller signs a contract with somebody, they can't sign a contract with somebody else. Even if somebody tries to go around the wholesaler, it's already tied up. Okay, so legally, that protects the wholesaler. Another trick you can do is you can actually record the contract. Okay, so if you want to protect yourself from somebody going around you, you record the contract. Okay, and then if anybody does try to buy it out from under you, the title company does a title search. They see a pre-existing contract on title, and the title company is going to go like this: no way we will let you close because we're not going to insure this because there's a pre-existing contract on the property. So nobody can buy the property if you simply record the contract. Question?
I found when I was driving by Dallas, I found 3 houses padlocked but without realtor sign.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
That they're padlocked?
Padlocked, but there's no realtor sign.
So it could be a couple of different things. Was there a sign on the house at all? Like in the window?
No, there's
Okay.
a lot of junk in the front.
So when somebody abandons the house, stops paying, they very often abandon the house. The bank will send somebody out, and they'll actually change the locks and they'll put padlocks on the doors, and they'll secure the house. But they'll always put a sign on the door or on the window saying this house has been winterized by the bank, blah, 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 blah. If you don't see that, then it's probably just somebody who is going to be remodeling or something the house. What you want to do is you want to do a title search of the property or a skip trace on the owner. We actually have an app. We're about to roll it out everywhere. It uses AI. You can literally take a picture of a house and do a complete analysis. So we're going to talk about that at the workshop.
What about pocket listing appeal? Pocket listing. Is
Yeah.
that possible pocket listing?
Sure. Realtors sometimes keep properties off the market. It's called a pocket listing. In general, you're not going to find your deal through a realtor. Realtors are looking to sell properties at top dollar. You're not likely to find a 30% or greater discount from a realtor. So it's usually going to be a waste of your time.
Because the moment I told them I'm a wholesaler, they dropped the home.
Yeah.
They're a bit a realtor.
Yeah. Realtors hate wholesalers. Realtors hate real estate investors. But real estate investors hate realtors. I mean, we love realtors to sell our properties retail, but we don't like realtors to buy properties. A realtor can't help you buy, but they can help you sell. So we need realtors, but we're going to use them in an appropriate relationship to represent us when we're selling retail. Okay? Another question? So I've had the most success with the pre-foreclosure list, but that being said, I'm not using it at the moment. And the reason I'm not is because everybody and their brother is pummeling the hell out of that list. So when somebody ends up on that list, they get 300 letters in their mailbox and they go like this. How do we know this? Because we track this. So these lists ebb and they flow, right? And marketing, I'm going to teach you at the event, is an experiment where you got to dial it in, dial it up. So we're going to teach you which lists are the appropriate list for you. So everybody always says, well, just give me the best one. What's the silver bullet? If there was a silver bullet like that, everybody does it, and then it doesn't work anymore. And that's why there's no silver bullet. Yeah. All right. One or two more questions? Yeah.
Let's say you have properties already, but you are trying to grow your portfolio, but you have little equity to pull out of your already existing properties.
That's why it's critical to learn Subject 2. Subject 2 allows you to buy rental properties with no money and no credit. Anybody can do that. Everybody can do that. Whether you have money or not, if you use your money and you use your credit, you're quickly going to run out of money and credit. It doesn't scale. Your money doesn't scale, you don't scale, your credit doesn't scale. You have to learn, even if you have great income. I make a lot of money, I have perfect credit, I don't use my money or my credit because it just doesn't scale. So you got to learn how to do it without your money and credit. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm rebuilding my life.
Yeah, great.
Very little credit history.
Yeah.
I got very little money.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this. I'm hungry. I got hustle.
Great. Hustle, I like hustle. You got to have something. So that I can work with that. What's that?
Would this workshop be a good fit for someone?
Talk to her. She came to us. She says, I'm homeless. I don't have a car. I don't have the ability to qualify for an apartment. I have 2 kids, and I'm $50,000 in debt, right? And she said, I love this, but this is not going to work. I got to go make some money and come back. And I said, no, you're telling me your problem is you need to make money. Make money. There's things you can do. Now, she was going to hustle. You said you're going to hustle? Great, I like that. Were you knock on doors? Would you be willing to knock on doors? Great, that's what she said. I said, this is stuff you can do for free. It's not for everybody, but you can do it and it works and it's for free. So she knocked on like 200 doors. She got her first deal, made $10,000, and the rest is history, right? So yes, you can do this. Now, I'm not going to kid you. If you have money and credit, it's easier. But it is absolutely possible. And if you tell me you don't have any money and you don't have any credit, I'm going to say, I don't know a better way of making money and credit than this. So don't go try something else, try this, right? It does work. And for the rest of you that may not, be in as tough a position, great, you have a little more going for you, but you still have to learn how to do this with no money and no credit. I have lots of money and lots of credit. I don't use my money and my credit because it doesn't scale. If I did this traditionally, I wouldn't own $30 million worth of properties. I'd own like $4 million worth of properties. Not bad, but not 30 million. All right? So guys, I'm excited. One more question. You get the last question.
3 days of training.
Yeah.
Is that going to be for us to be able to go back and refer? Is that like on the
So we have a Texas REIAs. If you join the REIA, we meet every minute of every day of every hour online. We also have a big network. We have a lot of people doing a lot of things, okay? So if you want more help or support, there's a lot of ways you can get plugged in. But I always tell everybody this. Figure out what you want to do because everybody's different. Some of you are going to want to walk out of there being full-time real estate investor, part-time, active, passive. You're all different, right? As you kind of formulate in your mind from seeing all the different possibilities, what you want to do, if you want more help, like I want to do this, what do you have for that? Then ask us, and we'll connect you up with other resources. But I always tell you, before you ask for help, know what you want help to do before you ask for help to do it. Okay? And with that, we're going to call that a wrap, guys, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. So thank you, guys. Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks.